Good morning, everybody. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Mr. Bramble, I think we got a couple sets of minutes to approve and some claims.
We've got March 1st minutes to approve, March 9th minutes, and the March 14th bid openings to approve.
I've reviewed all three. I'm good with them, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye. And we've got claims for March 5th through 11th for $791,642.75, and February 26th through March 1st in the amount of $1,661,789.50, plus payroll of $1,047,211.44 for a total of $2,709,094. And this, I guess this is one of the, you learn something new every day after doing this for 22 years, that it's best that you make separate motions on your claims. And the reason being, that's one of the factors that they use for reimbursement of our federal indirect costs. The number of financial systems decisions that you guys make factors into how much of the commissioner's budget gets reimbursed by the federal government. So the more motions you make, the more we get. So if that makes any.
Yeah, I left the other set of claims up in my office. So what are the dates? March 5th through the 11th, and what's the other one?
26th through March 4th.
So you want to do them separately?
Mm-hmm. I guess it wasn't really a factor when we were approving them weekly, but now we're doing bi-weekly. And
Jimmy, what was the amount of money for the March 26th to the March 4th?
March 20 or February.
Or February 26th to March 4th.
It totaled $2,709,094.
I'll go ahead and start then if you,
Yeah.
are you good with all the claims?
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the claims dated February 26, 22 for the period, the claims for the period of February 26, 2022 to March 4th, 2022, the total amount of $2,709,094.
Second.
Right.
All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Then the other one is the March 5th through March 11th.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims March 5th, 2022 to March 11th, 2022 in the amount of $791,642.75.
Second.
All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Is that good?
Good.
Okay. All right, moving on here. We have three contracts from building inspection. Building inspection does have the money to do all these. One is for the amount of $9,800. The second one is for $49,240. And a asbestos removal price for one of the projects is $2,995. So, out of courtesy, Terry brought these through us, or to us to sign and approve. So if you guys want to see these.
Is Bell, who's the contractor on it?
G's and one.
S&G. Are they doing all of them or just
Bell and Bell.
Bell and S&G?
That's the environmental person.
I'll make a
Senior
motion to
environmental.
approve the contracts to remove the houses, the blighted properties.
I second that.
All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
How many houses is that, Chris? Or structures? How many structures is that?
I think, Terry, it's just two, but one has asbestos in it, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I see all
because
the
the Burnett
addresses.
House
Yeah.
is in there. All right.
Commissioner President,
Yes.
I think for the minutes, you need to clarify how many homes per company
Well, I
per the
see that
price.
now. Okay.
Thank you.
This is gonna take a minute. Demolition agreement between Vigo County Building Inspection and S&G Excavating, 4684 North Fruit Ridge for $5,000, 1728 West Rushmore for $4,800, for a total demo price of $9,800. Then another contract with Bell and Bell, 7701 North 38th Street, $7,450. 7736 East Devonald, $7,930. 2015 Blue Ridge Drive, $7,280. 3961 South 8th Street, $9,100. 1642 West Michaels Avenue, $6,280. 8332 North Pottsville, $5,600. And 986 US Highway 150, $5,600, for a total amount to Bell and Bell for $49,240. And then lastly, asbestos removal for 3961 South 8th Street for the total amount of $2,995 to C&E Environmental. And that's it. So there's a boatload of stuff to do here. Okay, fourth, contract for Surveyor Services. This is a contract we signed last year. We just need to re-sign it. Myers Engineering is now going to be called Align, because he sold to this company. So we just need to sign this again. Same thing we signed last year, just a different name. So we need a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve for the Surveyor's Office.
Second.
All in favor, by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolution concerning the appointments for Thrall's Regional Sewage Station. I'm not sure why, Tammy, I'm not sure why we haven't done this before. Did we not do this last year?
It was the 5 to 3 year thing, wasn't it?
I don't know.
There was an issue with the appointment times.
All I know is there's an attorney call that said we need to appoint these 5 sisters to this board, so that's what we're gonna do.
And as I said before, whatever the sisters tell us, we say, okay.
Okay, so for Thrall's Regional Sewage
Oh.
Station,
Melissa?
yeah,
Right.
okay.
That's what I was, okay.
Terry sent
Yeah,
us an
that makes
email
sense.
about it.
So, should we approve the resolution of the Vigo County Board of Commissioners? And I apologize, Terry's in Florida, and we talked about this last night, but just go ahead and approve the resolution. And the people, we don't really need to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are-
Do you have this?
Like-
yeah, I have it.
Is that what you have, the
Yeah,
resolution?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So we won't,
We just
take
approve
a,
the resolution.
I'll take a motion for the resolution then.
Make a motion to approve the resolution of the Vigo County Commissioners concerning the appointment of the board members of Thrall Station Regional Sewer District.
Seconded.
All in favor by aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nope.
I see that now. Okay. Okay, number 6, utility easement, Larry Robbins.
Good morning. This utility easement is a request from Indiana American Water Company for a 5-foot utility easement on the north side of Moyer Road for Knoll Meadows Development. It is a short, relatively short easement along the north side. It's only a few hundred feet. But it does kind of set a precedence for utility companies requesting to use the right-of-way in this fashion. So basically, any construction we would do in the future, we would have to be reimbursing them if they had to relocate.
Any questions?
We have had some discussion about this, and what Larry just said was key, sets precedent, but as utilities tighten their, let me rephrase that, as utilities increase their power, then sometimes we just got to do what we have to do, so.
Yeah. And this is not something that's relatively new. It's new to us, but it's occurring more and more throughout the state. Typically, developers would dedicate part of, the frontage of their their property or so for this. In this case, that's not that's This is an older development that was just now being developed, so we're kind of cart before the horse on this one. But this should address that and get service to this new development for water services out there, and then we can move forward. The likelihood of us expanding Moyer in this road, in this section is probably slim, at this point too. It's probably always gonna be a 2-lane road at this point. If it happens to be, we need to develop it into a 3-lane section or something like that, then we've got a heck of a lot more development going on out there, so that's a good thing.
Good comment. Two things here. One, we just moving on some, cleaning up some properties that need to be cleaned up. And here we are moving with some things that these commissioners have been very, trying to be more proactive with, and that's water, sewage, and drainage items throughout the county. And so here we are to get a utility to an area that we can start to build some places back. So I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Larry, then we have bid awards yesterday. Do you want to talk about those as well?
Sure. So yesterday we opened the annual specs for sand and gravel and our pipe bids as well. We received 2 bids for sand and gravel, one from S&G, one from McGuire. I won't go into a lot of detail with their bid numbers. Typically in the past, the commissioners have always accepted all bids, and then we go with the lowest cost alternative at that point, given we're a large county. If it's more cost prohibitive for us to use one supplier over the other just because we're working in a certain area, that's what we've done. So we use the cheapest cost for what we have unless there is an emergency situation and somebody's relatively closer than somebody else or has availability. So I would recommend that we accept both S&G and McGuire's bids for sand and gravel.
Questions?
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Cool.
Thank you.
Larry.
And then the other one we accepted yesterday was a bid for our pipe supplies and some miscellaneous bridge items. The only bidder that we have on that was E3 Bridge. And we'll note that in 2022, our culvert steel prices went up 219%. So that is going to take quite a hit this year. Those prices this year reflect those increases as well as some forecasted increases throughout the year. So unfortunately, this is the world we live in now and what we have to deal with. So it may be some of our budgets may take a hit on some of these supply issues that we're coming up with. So just a note for that. But again, they were the only bidder, so we are kind of forced to accept their bid. So
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve E3 Bridge. All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
thank you. I'll make one note. I will have asphalt. We have to re-advertise the asphalt side of this. We did not get any asphalt bids, so we will re-advertise that and have that hopefully for next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, number 7 is a letter of understanding for an RBO, responsible bidders ordinance with the commissioners. Commissioner Kearns, you want to talk about this? You've been working on this?
Yeah, I do, but you guys both have the letter of understanding in front of you, right?
Yeah.
What we're doing is the RBO.
John, you want to come to the podium and just give an overview? John Bryan, do you mind doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, John Bryan with Ironworkers Local 22 and a delegate of the Wabash Valley Building Trades. We've been working on this for quite a while and I brought it up here. And I know I had a few different discussions kind of working through it with the responsible bid ordinance, basically just updating the ordinance, amending it that's already in existence to set up some enforcement with it, covering some of the tax abatements to give basically the commissioners kind of a little more broader purview on the whole subject to enforce it. Because in the past, what we've run into when there's been an issue with it, there hasn't been anywhere to go. The buck kept getting passed down the road, so that's basically the extent of it. So Mark's here with the commissioners, and yeah, appreciate your hopefully support on it.
I have several comments,
Sure.
questions. some of the language you have in A that you've amended to this, I don't think belongs in this ordinance. I think it belongs in something along the lines of redevelopment commission, either city or county. I think you guys, maybe Mr. Thacker, met with the city last week.
Yes.
And I talked to Eddie Felling about that, and I think he's going to amend or change some of the language that you have in here as well. Is that true?
What Eddie was looking at was because the city has a point system already in place, and he was actually looking at going through and updating that point system and was going to add some things in that could possibly cover that for the city council. So that's where he was going to go with that and look at it, and we would go up from there. So I mean, kind of yes and no, because it's not directly with the
Well,
responsible bid ordinance. It just has to do with their point system.
I think from day one, I've said that I want to see something that the city and county both can agree on, and we both have in front of us to vote on at the same time. We still don't have that yet. And I know Mr. Thacker and Ms. Dees are working on a point system for the county council, so why do we have to do this right now if we can wait until that point system's finished, and then we can take action on this?
So you want to,
I mean, I think we should table it. I don't like the authority and enforcement part of it at all. If the county council gives tax abatements, I think the county council should be the one to come. If there's a point of question or somebody's questioning something, then it should go back and fall on that point system that they are developing to enforce these things. We can change an ordinance on a speed limit sign, but we can't enforce it. That's the sheriff's department to do that. So we're not, I got this thing right here that says everything we do that, Brennan, you gave to me when I first took this job. And in any of that, there's no enforcement. We don't enforce things. We have steps and measures in place to enforce things by departments in this building.
Where do you recommend the buck stops on this issue, though?
County council.
Okay.
I mean, just with the city council, same thing. The buck stops with them. If there's a question, the city council brings them back. And then if we were getting to a litigation standpoint with a company that's doing something, you mentioned in here the best things for the taxpayers. Well, if we get into litigation where we have to pay an attorney thousands of dollars because it's something that the Construction Buildings Advisory Board is unhappy with, it's going to cost money too.
Can you clarify a couple things for me? This is in reference to tax abatements.
Part of it is in there, yes.
Okay. What part's not? What other part is not?
Well, part of it, basically saying if there's a tax abatement issued,
Okay.
that there will be the responsible bid ordinance would be in effect.
This is one that gets started by enforcement also.
Okay. And can you, in this ordinance, so commissioners are encouraged to seek advice and guidance from the Vigo County Redevelopment, Central Wabash Valley Building Trades, and Construction Building Advisory Board, Department of Engineering, and the Vigo County Building Inspection. Okay. So we have 4 entities. Is that right? Correct?
All of those entities are listed within the code of being on the advisory board and the ones that, deal with the construction in general.
Okay.
Through the county.
So
when it's and/or, it's not like it's saying, hey, you got to get 4 different groups online. It's just saying, at the end of the day, none of those groups have any authority over it. It's just simply laying a plan out for advice. And
okay.
then,
So Central Wabash Valley Building Trades Construction Council, Construction and Building Advisory Board. Who is that?
the Central Wabash Valley Building Trades,
Yeah, who is that?
that's typically a lot of the trades here in town that belong to that.
Okay, so I guess-
Essentially, your leading experts on construction throughout the county, so that would be.
okay, all right. So if you said we didn't have anywhere to go. That was a comment you made. We didn't have
Correct.
anywhere to go. So anywhere to go if you had a question or you had an enforcement issue?
Okay, anything, when it's come up, okay, there's bids that come in on a project, that the RBO is in effect. Okay, they have a company there that does not meet the specs of that. Some of the places going, and this is before, I know before you were in here, Mr. Morris, I went to the commissioners, didn't get an answer, different offices. There was nothing that had to go back to the contractor to essentially enforce it. And when I talked to them, they didn't feel it was right for them to be in a spot to say, why are we having to enforce this ordinance? You know, they're forced to take a particular bid and can't say, hey, we don't want them because we don't know that contractor, or they don't have a drug testing program. So essentially, they're put in that position to enforce an ordinance.
The contractor.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I haven't had any contact with contractors that have had, that's what, okay. Okay.
I have letters of support from contractors for this. I can get whatever you need there on this.
Okay.
So,
All right, so could you say what kind of a situation might come up that, and then who would contact the commissioners? I mean, do you have a particular person from the building trades that would contact us in reference to this?
Well, it could
Or
be-
could be any?
anybody in the community, just like any other ordinance, saying, essentially the intent of this, like we've talked about, is when the bids are going in, if there's any question with the contractor at that time. It's not, the intent of this isn't to shut something down after the fact it started going. After a project started, that doesn't make any sense. It's before it's there, when the bids are put in place, and if I say, hey, does this contractor meet the requirements of this responsible bid ordinance? At that point is where it would come up, and then I would be looking for an answer from the commissioner saying, yes, they do. Here, they have a drug testing program. They have a safety record. They can do certified payroll. You know, all these things here, they have a training program, a registered apprenticeship. You know, fairly easy things to tell at that point, but if there's no one there that says, hey, this is not my department, it's hard to get an answer on it.
Okay. And again, only on people requesting tax abatements.
That's part of it. I mean, this is, you know, once you go through the whole responsible bid ordinance, it lays out different things, whether it's basically any form of taxpayer money. And that
Okay.
tax abatements
Okay.
add to it because it is
Okay.
a form of taxpayer money.
So if you wanted to build a repair facility somewhere in town, as long as you're not asking for taxpayer money, then this would not apply to that.
I don't think anybody, oversees private money besides just through permits and such.
Okay,
But
well,
as far
it
as
is
that,
just-
and there's a
yeah.
$150,000 threshold on this as well. So anything less than that, it doesn't apply whatsoever.
Okay, all right.
County-owned property and redevelopment-owned controlled property. Is that
Okay.
right, John?
Correct.
So the
If the county is going to give
industrial
away a property, say a property assesses for $100,000, and if they want to give it away for less than $90,000, then, that's an assessment on a taxpayer dollars. So that's where that falls into there. Same thing with tax abatements. If there's a 10-year 100% abatement that equates to tens of millions of dollars, that's taxpayer money. And local companies here, they like it because it gives them a fair shot at bidding at it. That's all it is. If a company can't have a drug testing program, certified payroll, or training program, they're usually not the best ones to be handling county funds in one way or the other.
Okay.
And this has been looked at and worked on for quite a while. I've consulted with many people on it, and where it's come from, so.
Todd, you have something?
Yeah, so I also am a member of the Wabash Valley Building Trades, and we started on this process actually before I was on county council. And what we're trying to do is we're just trying to find the right person or the right entity to help us with this. And I don't disagree that we had a discussion with the city attorney, Felling. And I do believe that on the point system, we should get something that does align, and we're starting that process. At the same time is we haven't had the problems in the city that has occurred in the county. That's why it came to the county. And we talked to county council and then talked to the commissioners, and we kind of thought this was the right, because the commissioners are more the executive branch of the county government, where the county council is the financial, and I don't disagree if it's a point system and that you have the mechanism, then you also can do the compliance. I agree with that. But I do think we need a kind of a two-prong approach. We need the point system, and then we also need something that says if it is enforcement to do with the RBO, and it is a question, if Garmong is a general contractor on the jail, for example, and it is a public works project, and there is an issue when they bid that job, if somebody doesn't meet the criteria of the responsible building ordinance, just like John said here, then it is addressed and it's resolved. And in Monroe County, where we have this, the same thing. They turn the county council down there, or the commissioners down there would turn to the county attorney and say, would you send a letter to them asking them if they comply with these ordinances? Simple as that. And I get that in a perfect world, they say, no, just like on the, when they built the convention center on the CIB board, there was a contractor who did not comply, and it was brought to their attention, and they removed themselves. So, I mean, that's how it was resolved. But if you don't have a mechanism in there, and it becomes a finger pointing, and the commissioners say that's on the Garmong says it's on the commissioners, then it doesn't get resolved. And I think that's what John was saying about we didn't have somewhere to go. That's all it is. It's just that we feel like that the commissioners are the executive branch of county government, and they would be the appropriate ones for the enforcement portion of it. But if they want to do it as far as a tax incentive, and I believe we had tabled a motion because we wanted to make sure that we were in line, and it's just like, who goes first on this, you know, and so that's where we're at on. We appreciate the dialogue and the conversation. We've had some good conversation with Terry Modisett, and he talked to Eddie Felling and said that we need to be all on the same page. So I don't think anybody's trying to pull anything. It's just we just got to try to all get on the same page, pull the same direction.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying that, well, first of all, if you have a problem in the city, Todd, where does it end up at?
Yeah.
Where does that get resolved?
Yeah, city council.
City council.
Yeah, and it's a little, of course, the county's a little different.
Right.
But we don't have to be.
We don't
That's
have
what
to
I'm
be.
saying.
It depends on it, but we don't have city commissioners.
The city council enforces the ordinances, and so that's the difference here, that as the county executives, we enforce the ordinances. And yes, you and I and Mike aren't the ones actually going out there and saying you can't do, well, in some cases we are, but we have people underneath us that do that. Right. Building inspection,
Right.
For example. That's what Terry does. Terry goes out and enforces our ordinances.
Right.
So in all these discussions we've had about this, that's how we got to this point. The
Right.
county executives, the three of us that technically run the county, whereas the city council, city's the fiduciary and not the executive branch. Well,
Who signs the contract at the city?
Yeah.
Just like you guys just signed contracts this morning.
Yeah, who
as
signs the
exec-
contract?
Board of
Usually-
Public Works.
Okay.
Yeah,
Recommend.
I just, for
So
me
that's all we're
personally-
trying to do is just get on the same direction. I think we're all wanting the same thing. It's just how we get there.
And on the county side, the original responsible federal ordinance was implemented by the commissioners, so.
True.
And all we're doing is just enhancing what's already in place. And through
That's all.
discussions that I've had with all of these guys and with business people in the community, with Steve Witt, and nobody is uncomfortable with this whatsoever. They feel it's the right thing to do. And as we've talked recently, somebody's got to show leadership and take the lead to get this in motion. Otherwise, if we keep waiting on what the city's going to do and the city keeps waiting on what we're going to do, nothing is ever going to occur. And we're seeing so much growth opportunities in this community. This is a good step in ensuring that we have protocols in place, which could attract companies to come here saying, hey, these people have their stuff in order. I want to do business here. So,
And I'd like to reiterate what you said on that as well, is we know the building trades or the local entities, we don't want to stifle economic growth, because if we don't have economic growth, we're
We don't
not
have
working.
jobs.
So we're all in favor, and we work, hopefully, very well with Steve Witt to try to do that as well. So I just thought, since my name was mentioned, I'd step up here and assist with John, but John has been the point person and younger and much better looking, so he's a better point person than I am. Humor out of him. You have anything else for me?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Brendan and I just got to respectfully disagree. I mean, I don't understand or see why anybody has to take the lead on this. I think that with our attorneys working together and with us in communication with the city council and county council, that we can all agree on one document and do it together.
It's my understanding our attorney's okay with it.
Okay.
Not after they met with Eddie last week. They're in
Well,
communication.
Then he's not he's just talking to you
No,
only.
because I'm the one who
last.
I'm the one who reached out to him and asked him if Eddie communicated with him, and they did on Friday of last week.
Oh, well, good. Thank you for doing that.
So, I mean,
The last conversation I had with our attorney, who I think is Terry Modisett, he was okay with this, so if something's changed, I didn't hear that from you.
correct, which is why you're here in a public meeting right now.
Action. Finish.
You know, you guys can bring this to a motion and vote for it. I can tell you I'm not gonna vote for it until I get some type of agreement from the city attorney. I mean, we hire construction managers for a reason. You know, this authority enforcement, I've looked at every RBO in the state of Indiana on the IA, whatever it is, or IFFC. I can't find one that has an authority and enforcement section in it. Even though Monroe County and City of Bloomington, you just told me about, it does not have that in it.
They currently have the same as what we have currently. But their thoughts on enforcement has been, if this issue came up, what I was using as example, they said they would have the city attorney contact them.
No.
And to, as Brendan said, we are looking to enhance it. So the enhanced version, I believe you're correct. That's why we're taking this as
Yeah,
an
the
enhanced.
last one from Monroe County is from 2009, and the one
Right.
from the City of Bloomington's 2010, so.
No. I know.
I think
Both are
it's listed as a
2009.
disbarment clause instead of authority and enforcement, I believe.
Will that be listed on the RBO?
That's, I believe in the other counties you're looking at, I believe was listed as disbarment, I believe. I think it was just, yeah.
I mean, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I mean, I think you're in the right direction. I just don't know why we all can't collectively, as city and county government, work together to come up with one document that we can all use. Our city council, our county council, the executives of the county, and the county council is the one that gives the abatement. So if the county commissioners are going to enforce this, we still have to go to the county council and say, hey, we need you to call this group back in because this group is complaining that they're not doing the right thing. So if the city council is going to be the ordinance enforcers,
And that'd have been my recommendation to say, you know, the county council or the commissioners, you know, recommend to the county council to pull an abatement or not. And I understand where you're at. I agree with that as well. If the councils all have something in line together, so with that, saying, okay, let's say the city updates their point system, the county implements that, and then both RBOs change some language, maybe not exactly what's written on that amendment, but something like that. Is that what we're working towards? Is that what's in kind of your future lenses there?
I
what
think that
you're
at
thinking,
some
or-
point, at least one commissioner, and if Commissioner Kearns wants to do it, that's great. One commissioner, a couple city council people, a couple county council people, meet with our attorneys, and we all collectively come to some type of conclusion for a document
Yeah,
to
and
move
I
forward
think
with.
that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think there's been some developments. I didn't know, I hadn't talked to Mr. Modisett lately to know what his take on it was. The last I knew, he was okay with us, as well as Brendan. And when I did meet with Mr. Felling, he was wanting to address and having the combined scoring system the same. I do understand that. But I didn't know about the enforcement piece. I didn't really know, but because different being city council and county council is, we can both enforce as far as compliance. But with the commissioners being in this position that they're as the executive branch, I think they have the right to enforce any ordinance as the building inspection, as the advisory board would make recommendations to the commissioners. That's the part I thought we could still move forward on. But if you want to wait to do it all together, I'm supportive of that too. I would just soon have everybody on the same page and all be consistent on it as well. I concur with that. So if you want to table it now, that would maybe is a smart move right now, as long as we're not tabling just to kill something, that we're tabling so that we can get
No,
consistency.
I mean, I don't want to kill it at all. I mean, like
Okay.
I said, I think you're going in the right direction.
Good.
You know, it's just the authority and enforcement part is really a far stretch to me on our end. You know, we can change an ordinance, but we have steps and measures in place to enforce the ordinance, such as building inspection, such as You know, if we give the county council an ordinance to enforce, we approve this ordinance, and they are the ones that can enforce it, then they can enforce it.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So-
And I, in my day job, I enforce agreements all the time, and I understand that. And I wouldn't have a problem if you work together with the county, city, and the attorneys and the commissioners, and we can get some document that's good for everywhere, I'm great with that.
And I don't want to
Absolutely.
create some illusion that Terry Modest's doing anything wrong. Just
No.
Friday, I had heard that Eddie had met with you guys.
He had.
Upon a conversation with Eddie, and I asked Terry about it, and they did communicate, so that changed my mind on how to move
Okay.
forward with this.
And that's,
So,
I don't think anybody thinks anything sinister here. It's just that we're trying to get it all and where to start. I think the starting point has been the hardest thing.
Well, we started working on this in October.
Yes, we did.
And I was comfortable today with discussing this and possibly moving forward because of all the meetings that we've had.
Right.
I have learned in this public event that there's been subsequent meetings since then from when I think, Sean, when did we meet? Last Friday? At lunch and talked about it, and I thought everything was good to go then based off those conversations. So I'm learning now that that's not the case. And I'm good with waiting until everybody collectively, I guess, puts it together. And I will assume that we're the ones that will make the first vote, because we are the county executives.
County Council President Aaron Loudermilk's here. Aaron, do you want to say anything about this, or have an opportunity to say anything?
I suppose I could. I mean, is there something in particular when you speak about
No,
it?
I just, you know.
I echo what John Bryan and Todd Thacker have said here. I mean, we've been discussing this for many months. In fact, you know, I think, Brendan, you came kind of into the fold in October of last year, and I was speaking with these gentlemen and building trades probably
July?
maybe last January or February of 2021. I mean, it's been quite some time we've been discussing this. I thought we were in a pretty good spot. I thought we felt comfortable where we were going with things. You know, from my perspective, we are different than the city council in the sense that, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, because I'm not well versed in the processes of the city council necessarily, but the city council does do the ordinances, and whereas here, the commissioners are in charge of the ordinances. So from my perspective, the commissioners would be an enforcement piece. I mean, we are, as a county council, a part-time entity of elected officials. We don't have a full-time status. We don't have purview over the different departments such as the commissioners do when you talk about building inspection and other entities that you work hand in hand with. So we really don't have as much impact to be able to help in those matters. You know, I feel like as the executive piece of county government, that the enforcement piece should be with the commissioners and not the council. You know, I hear what you're saying about the scoring system. I don't disagree that the city and the county should get on the same page with the scoring system, and I think that there has been a lot of efforts made to go in that direction. Councilwoman Thies has been working on that for many months. I know Councilman Thacker has been assisting her with city council members, and I think we are close to a completed document that we all feel comfortable with. But with that said, I think we're kind of losing sight of the fact that this RBO and this proposal doesn't just include tax abatements. It is any incentive given to these outside entities by the county. And whether that's a piece of property for $1 or whatever that may look like, it isn't always tax abatements. So it's not a one-size-fits-all enforcement piece, from my perspective. You know, maybe there's some things we can do on our end with the scoring sheet, but at the end of the day, I just don't feel like that is the responsibility of the county council. I mean, if there's something we can do to create an ordinance and we're the enforcement piece, then send something to us and we can look at it. But I just don't think that that's the case. Again, I believe that is the responsibility of the executive branch of county government. And, you know, what this all comes down to is these companies come in here, we as a council negotiate with them in good faith. They stand at this very podium, tell us as a council, we're going to use local people to do this work. And we get a few months into the project, and what are we seeing is happening? They aren't using local people. At the end of the day, we are losing out as a community. All that money is going out of town, if not out of state. And how does that benefit our people? We're giving them a government incentive because they tell us they're going to do X, and they don't do it. Where are we at that point? Millions of dollars are leaving. It does no good. It doesn't return back to our community. In the meantime, either our people here locally aren't working, or they're driving an hour, 2 hours away every day just to work when they could get the opportunity here. So, I mean, I feel strongly about this. As I said, I've spent over a year working on this with people. I've got a lot of hours on the phone, a lot of hours in meetings. I'm hopeful that we can maybe get somewhere and get this accomplished.
So there was an issue with Steel Dynamics. Are you guys going to call them back before the council to question their abatement?
How can we do that with the way things are structured right now? I mean, with the way the agreements are structured, how can we do that? I mean, if there's a way, please tell me.
No, I mean, you guys gave them an abatement set to a certain criteria, and they didn't match that criteria, so wouldn't that be a way to bring them back to say?
That's the purpose of this.
That's the whole purpose. Right now, as a council, we review those abatements on an annual basis, right? So, this time next year, say, for example, it comes up for review. The thing's already completed. All the work's done. All the workers are gone. All our people have missed out on that work. I mean, what? And when we review those abatements, it comes down to not did you use local people, it comes down to did you meet the metrics that you set forth in terms of capital investment and employees, salaries, things like that. And then we'll ask them to come in if they're not meeting those, and we'll review why. And if it seems as though it's not a reasonable explanation, then we can pull the abatement. But there's nothing that I've seen so far that allows us to do that as a county council if they don't fulfill their end of the bargain, such as using local labor.
Just as a reminder, for those of us that were involved with the brick plant, which I think is now Meridian, and Mike and I, you've talked about this recently, they came to the council for their abatement long before any of us. I don't recall if you were there or not, Mike, but they received an abatement based on a certain amount of employees, and they never hit that mark. I think it was probably, I think if I recall right, they wanted 40, and Howard, if my numbers are wrong, correct me later, but when I did a site visit there several years ago, there were only 9 people working there. And so, we threw all kinds of stuff at them. We built them roads, we put water out there, we put millions of dollars into that project, and we didn't get out of it what we expected. Saturn Pet Care, John, correct me if I'm wrong, did a phase 2. And that phase 2 means they brought people in from Kentucky to do work where we had skilled tradesmen here that could have done the job. And so we gave them incentives. But as Aaron, Aaron was with these guys from day one. And as he shared, I got in the fall because that's when I think we realized that this is the commissioner's role. It's a partnership, but the commissioners is where the enforcement falls in. So that's how I got involved. If we had this RBO in effect, we would have provided more jobs for our local people in this community versus bringing people in from Kentucky. We had no way to enforce it. Absolutely no way.
So Brendan?
Yes, sir?
Correct. Just go through this thing because you brought up a specific case. So in the case of a brick factory that did not meet those commitments, would the tax incentives be taken away?
I don't know, Mike, but that's...
Well, you said there's enforcement.
There was no enforcement.
But this is enforcement.
This
Will the
now
tax
would be.
incentives be taken away?
I think we would have to work with the council.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, now you're throwing back on the council. Will the incentives
that's
be
that
taken
circle.
away if they do not meet these criteria?
If I were in charge, yes. If
Okay.
it was my decision,
All right.
yes.
Well, I think every business person needs to know that. You would take those away if they do not meet the criteria.
If the taxpayers gave them an incentive, if they took taxpayer dollars
Good
away
enough.
to do something, then yes, we should recover those tax dollars.
Okay.
And that's not every business person, that's on our properties in the industrial park.
I got you. I just wanted to be clear. So when enforcement takes place, we will take the tax incentives away. The council will do that. if they do not meet the criteria.
I
That's the
can't-
enforcement.
Yeah, I can't speak for the full council what they'll vote on, but I think it needs to be brought to the council for a vote, yes. I mean,
Okay.
those are the types of things
Okay.
that we have to consider, in my opinion.
We would
I've been fighting this thing for 30 years with people that didn't make they clawback agreements and with the Economic Development Corporation, what have you. But that's all I want to know, what our enforcement action will be. I mean, if you don't have any enforcement action, you don't have any teeth in this thing,
we have no teeth.
then this is the thing, all right? Yeah, John?
In that particular, in that document, the amendment to it, the enforcement part is, from commissioners, is if somebody lies to you or, willfully makes a fraudulent statement, they're on the county record for for 3 years.
They cannot,
So then it's up to, if whoever issues the abatements, it'd be up to them whether they want to pull it or not. But on this part of it, as far as the commissioners, saying that they'd be on the, record for 3 years, so that would be a recommendation for the commissioners. I just want to clarify that part of it, is what's in.
I was looking for Terry's.
all right, well, yeah, I'll read that last paragraph, or last sentence, paragraph. Any bidder or owner that willfully makes or willfully causes to be made a false, deceptive, or fraudulent statement, willfully submits false, deceptive, or fraudulent information in connection with any submission made to the county shall be disqualified from receiving an abatement, acquiring county and owned land, or bidding on all county work for a period of 3 years. So it says in this ordinance we're looking at, they'll be disqualified from receiving an abatement. This is the way this is worded. It says they'll be disqualified, period. Okay, that's all I want to be clear about.
I'll make a motion to table this until further discussion happens.
I don't think we really need to even table it, do we? But
It's on the agenda, so let's table it.
I'll second it.
All in favor, by aye? Aye. Motion to table. No? I'm not gonna table it? You wanna?
In favor?
No, I said, I made a motion to
don't know.
table it until
Okay.
further discussion.
You popped that out fast. My assumption is that mine isn't ready yet, so.
Well, I'll rescind my motion. We can
No,
continue as on.
you just didn't ask for a negative vote.
Oh, no.
All those in favor by aye, right?
Yeah,
All those opposed?
nay.
Nay. Okay, passes. All right?
What just happened?
It passes technically.
No, it didn't pass.
No, yeah.
The motion passed.
The table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Did you want to move forward with it tonight?
Yeah.
I think so, okay. You're just gonna, all right.
All right, moving on. Number 8 is the local development agreement.
Hey, but, can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't talk to Sean and I didn't talk to our county attorney, so I guess whatever, I haven't been talking to anybody.
All right, number 8 is the local development agreement with Churchill Downs. This is an incredibly positive thing for our community, this local development agreement. I'm going to read the first page, the recitals, and then touch on a couple of things that's in the document itself. Whereas the 2019 regular session of the Indiana General Assembly enacted House Enrolled Act 1015, which signed by Governor on May 8, 2019, HEA 1015 authorized Indiana Gaming Commission to award our license to conduct inland gaming in the county, subject to the satisfaction of certain conditions. One of the conditions is that an applicant for a license must have a local development agreement with the county. The company has a license by the IGC and wishes to enter into a local development agreement with the county. And whereas the county and company agree that this agreement should be strategically aligned with the goals, pillars, and action items of Terre Haute and the county's established community planning process. In consideration of the mutual covenants contained herein and other good and valuable considerations, receipt and sufficiency of which are hereby acknowledged, county and company intending to be legally bound and is agreed to as followed. In this document, it created a 501c3, a foundation. The foundation is in partnership with the Queen of Terre Haute Casino. It's a not-for-profit corporation, and the board members will be as such. There will be 8 board members. 1 member consisting of the County Commissioner District 1 or their appointee. 1 member consisting of the County Commissioner District 2 or their appointee. 1 member consisting of the County Commissioner District 3 or their appointee. 2 members consisting of the Mayor of the City of Terre Haute or their appointees. 2 members who are the employees of the company or its ultimate parent, Churchill Downs Incorporated, and 1 member of the Terre Haute Chamber of Commerce. If you're counting in your head, that is an 8 board membership. Over the next year or 2 years while the construction is taking place, we, as commissioners, will work together with Churchill Downs in creating bylaws and things of that nature for this foundation to move forward. This LDA focuses on several different things: authority of parties, insurance, employment matters, construction labor, local vendors. Mainly focuses on 3.06, which is the foundation's priorities, which are economic development, health and wellness, infrastructure, quality of life, talent attraction and retention, and tourism. In this document, the company's commitment payments, except as otherwise provided in this agreement and subject to the provisions hereof, commencing on the 10th day of the first full calendar month after the effective date and continuing on the 10th calendar day of each month thereafter, that this agreement remains in full force and effect. The company shall pay the foundation an amount equal to 3% of AGR up to $175 million per calendar year, and an amount to 3.25% of AGR exceeding $175 million per calendar year. And in subsection B, an amount equal to 3% of the company's taxable sports wagering AGR generated from operations or received from any third-party sports wagering vendor, also known as sports wagering commitment and the company's commitment. In this document's financial reporting, periodic review, license renewals, annual meetings, condition to entitlement to future company commitment payments, easement for company signage, and several things that have to do with the Indiana Gaming Commission and the company meeting their requirements. So today, we need a motion to approve this local development agreement so Churchill Downs Incorporated can take this back to the Indiana Gaming Commission, showing in good faith that we've created this document, we've signed it, and we're ready to move forward with the local development agreement. Is there any comments and questions? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question on it. All the appointments to that board are government employee or county or city employees, except for, why do we have Chamber of Commerce on a board who's not a government entity?
Chamber of Commerce was pretty heavily involved with creating, when the legislation started, they were at the State House, big advocates for the community and making and implementing this.
They're advocates for the business part of the community, but they're not advocates for labor part of the community.
Well, that's your opinion. So,
Okay, and I'm just asking that, so I mean, is there a model that this falls after, or, you know, as you mentioned earlier about these other RBOs across the county, the state, and these other local development agreements, is the Chamber of Commerce on those boards as well?
every LDA is different. Most LDAs are, this is a non-traditional LDA that involves several different entities in the community, kind of a Wabash Valley Community Foundation entity, something similar to that, to where we can delegate some money to some good nonprofit organizations. We can be economic drivers, or however we see fit. So it's an atypical LDA. This is the first time a license has been rewarded to another county in 22 years, 24 years. So I think we're just trying to be different.
Yeah. Well, I just wondered if there's been any consideration for somebody that's a representative of a non-profit organizations.
Why can't the chamber represent nonprofit organizations?
I think they represent profit organizations.
But
For profit.
Brennan had recommended a subcommittee underneath that, and we're still talking about that.
Okay,
stuff, so.
and that's why I'm just asking. You said if there's anybody had any questions. I'd hoped is that, and a lot of boards have an odd number, so there's not deadlocking. But I mean, I get that all the people involved, but. That's just my question. I just wondered why the Chamber of Commerce has a seat at the table when everybody else is government employees or county employees or city. Or
I don't think
appointees.
that's the case. I think that we can make an appointment. Commissioners do not have to serve.
Right, I understand, but they're making an appointee, or the Chamber of Commerce has
Okay.
made an appointee, but they have the appointment power that only government entities have, other than the Chamber of Commerce,
I
which
agree.
is a
Good
for-profit
point.
organization.
Good point.
Councilman Thacker, I'll share with you what I proposed when the chamber wanted a seat, and I questioned it just like you are right now,
Okay.
too.
Good.
And after meeting with Kristen, and Kristen reminded me about the chamber's involvement in this process, and they do have a community plan that's a very good plan.
Sure.
That I think is a good model for all of us to follow. I was good with having a seat, but what I requested was specifically that the Chamber of Commerce will have one representative on the board. The chamber will have a community development board that falls under the LDA representative. The LDA representative will convey the interests of the community development board.
Okay.
An example from what I put up just for consideration was a member of the United Way of the Wabash Valley. And I broke down all of the organizations that they currently represent based off when I wrote this 3 or 4 weeks ago, which has a lot of nonprofits, Manna from 7, Next Step, the Hamilton Center, the list goes on. So that person could flow information up to the
Sure.
LDA rep. The Homeless Council of the Wabash Valley, which, as many of you know, I have a personal vested interest in, because I would like to see some of this LDA funds go towards improving our homeless situation and our mental health care within the community. The Wabash Valley Community Foundation, because they represent a very large amount of nonprofits in the community. The Interfaith Council of the Wabash Valley. I think it's important to have our faith-based community represented also. And the Taxpayers Association of the Wabash Valley, for obvious reasons, we need to have our taxpayers
Right,
groups involved.
absolutely.
And so what I envisioned was that group would meet whatever they'd come to on and give the information, partner with the chamber representative, who would then represent all those groups
Okay.
in there.
And that's good to know that. I didn't have
Well,
any idea on that.
I thought it was a good idea, but I didn't have the support to move forward with it. There is a good point, and a point that I shared was, we do have a member, we have a commissioner who is on the Chamber of Commerce board, just as we serve on many different boards. So there is representation because a commissioner is on that board. To me, that's very similar to what I was asking. And then you can also look at it this way too. We are elected by the people in the county. As the county executives who are on this, and the mayor has a seat, we represent the people. If we're not representing them well, they bounce us out in most cases. So it's been a very tough exercise. It's been a good exercise recognizing how important all these community groups are to making this a good, viable community and enhancing the quality of place. So just in full transparency, I did share that model that you mentioned, and with what we finalized, it's not in there.
Yeah. And that's just my concern on it is I haven't always agreed with the chamber on issues, and that's fine. But I know that if you have more of the entities that this not-for-profit that you're going to, and I think that's what this income will help with, is I just don't know that I've seen that the chamber's 100% always looking for that focus. So that was my only concern on, which you're right, is the other ones, other than Churchill down, all the people can vote and have impact on that, but they can't vote and have an impact, the general public, on the Chamber of Commerce.
And most of the organizations that I mentioned were part of the Chamber's 2025 plan. So that plan was put together based off those organizations' feedback and information. That gives me a level of confidence in this new proposal of having one person recognizing that the plan that they would be focused on was developed by many agencies, not just the business community's interest. Nonprofits were brought to the table. So I would still like to see the model that I put together, but I do recognize that there's still value in having the chamber on there.
And there would definitely be value to have the chamber on there if there was a counterpart that represented non-for-profit, like the United Way. Yeah, and so that's the only reason I bring that up. If you're going to open the door, it's not got to be a government official, and you're putting the chamber on there, I think there could be a counter to that. You know,
So each
if
commissioner,
had 9, I don't know if that's cumbersome or not.
we can either serve in that capacity, or we can appoint
Yes,
somebody there.
I understood that.
So, you know, I would like, if I've been afforded the ability to be in this position again, when the time comes, I would probably start off the first year being on that board and then segue to somebody else, which is like I did with the CIB, but I just put somebody else in there that's more qualified and talented than me in that respect. So I think that's one neat thing about this position, is that we have the ability to put experts in positions to represent the community's best interests.
Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Todd.
May I make just one comment? Sean Reynolds, sheet metal workers here in town. When the original vote yes for the casino came, it was brought in front of the building trades. The building trades supported that, and I know things have changed a lot since, and I don't know if I'm bringing up something that needs to be brought up or something that's going to be questioned. But the project of labor agreement that was originally with Hard Rocks said a lot different about local labor than what this one does, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thanks.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve this LDA.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Thacker, I appreciate your comments today. And Council President Loudermilk, you too. Moving forward, at our next meeting, there is a time for comment from commissioners or other elected officials, so I want to make sure we do that unless I asked you guys to come up there, which is why I appreciate it, but next time. We'll do it. Yeah, I know, yeah. So, number 9, comment from commissioners or other elected officials. Anybody have anything?
Are we not hearing the contract for Proactive today?
We didn't know if you had finished the. I know
Terry
you
sent an
talked to-
email. Did he not send it to you guys?
I didn't get an email.
He says he's fine with the agreement, so but you don't have it in front of you?
No. I thought Friday there were some questions that you were working with Leah on, and we didn't know if you got that finalized.
I assume Terry sent you the email. You sent it yesterday. But
This addresses your client confidentiality.
yeah, in our discussion, we talked about the fact that we would not be providing Proactive personal health information. And so they made the adjustments, and I think Tammy facilitated the emails on that, and then Terry's reply yesterday at whatever time that was, that it looks okay to him.
Are we exempt from automatic renew? I don't see where that's at.
Did you work it all on it? Did you look at it? I guess we discuss it the next meeting.
Okay.
Mike, do you have anything?
No, I made my comments about building out. I'm kind of excited about building, and like I say, as well as tearing down.
Mr. Thacker, you have anything else to say? Council President Loudermilk, you're the only other elected official here. No. Any comments from the public? Yep. I'll put those, so go ahead. Okay, uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement for Janet Gilligan, Martha Wessel, Kathleen Leonard, Roseanne Eaton, and Denise Wilkinson. Anything else? All right, see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Are we here in 2 weeks?